Supporting posts. Every chain has an initial post, the cue, and an end post, a terminal reinforcer. In our metaphor, it is the posts that give the chain purpose, like building a wall. But instead of making the effort to create an entire wall, we just put up a chain. That is okay. Like the chain between two posts in front of my Little League park when I was a kid. Next to the post, the chain was at its highest point. But the posts were so far apart, the middle portion of the chain dragged along the ground. When the park was closed, we would step over the chain with little effort. The chain did not fulfill its purpose. Wait, what were we talking about? I guess it doesn't matter why the chain in front of my Little League park was ineffective. Oh, yes. The point was the chain should be off the ground. It should be firm and tight if it is to do its job. By being attached to the posts, the chain is held off the ground. Figuratively speaking, for the chain to hold up, it needs support on both ends, but some chain posts are too far apart and might need additional support along the way. Sometimes our end post or terminal reinforcer is set too far in the future. We need additional support or reinforcement in the middle of our chain to maintain the integrity of its purpose. Enough with the chain metaphor. I realize it doesn't correspond perfectly. But if you're still reading, you should have an idea of how these chains play out in our day-to-day. Coffee, pikes, and power. The eldest is a good kid, athletic and smart. She can even converse and joke with adults. She is just your overall good kid. But there are little things that she never follows through with, such as shutting the refrigerator, closing cabinets she's opened, putting a used dish in the sink, and anything that can be closed or turned off stays on or open. The shower? Yeah, even the shower has stayed on after the eldest vacated the bathroom. I have a reusable Keurig-like coffee filter, the sort you pour the coffee grounds into. It's a bit of a pain to wash all the grounds out after using. One day the eldest saw the sweet-tasting Hawaii coffee I brought. "Ooh, can I have some of that coffee?" I responded, "Sure, but each time I use it, I clean it. Each time you use it, you clean it. Deal?" "Deal," she said. Day 1. I get my coffee, I clean it. Later in the day, I return to make another cup. I open the Keurig-like coffee maker. The eldest had made her coffee, and she had not cleaned it. As I went to grab the filter thing, there was some resistance. Almost like the filter was stuck in the mud. Or maybe it felt like pulling a head off a pike. What I'm attempting to say is usually the filter is easy to remove. Eventually I did manage to get it out, and I found the problem. There's this little pike-like thing that sticks out of the machine. The filter thing has a hole on one side, like a plug and socket. The filter thing should fit perfectly on this pike. It did not. And because the eldest did not notice it fitting awkwardly, she just slammed it down in there. When I showed her, to help her for the next time she's making this coffee, I pointed to the bottom and asked, "What do you see here?" No response. Again, I asked. This time the eldest said something like, "I'm not sure what you're asking." "Try not to think too hard about this. Just tell me what you see," I continued. "I don't know, a filter?" she said, beginning to show her frustration with my line of questioning. "Okay, let me be more specific. For instance, I see purple. What do you see when you look at the bottom of this filter thing?" I said, trying to lead her. "Purple?" "No, there's this big hole right here," I pointed. And there's another one, a smaller hole right here. The manufacturer built this one, and the other looks as if someone threw a tiny toothpick-like spear through it. Do you see that?" I asked again. "Yes," she said, her cheeks now turning red. "When you put this in, there's a pike-like thing. You have to line that up with the hole the manufacturer made. I said this as I noticed her looking more embarrassed and frustrated. Okay, she said. Then I walked away. As I returned to the kitchen, I thought, oh my goodness. I just committed the number one offense of all persons in places of authority: parents, teachers, bosses, coaches, stepdads, etc. Ratio strain. Ratio strain occurs when the proportion of demands to reinforcement is out of whack. And if you're on the receiving end of this, it does not feel good. To me, it was such an easy question to answer. Yeah, that's what all persons in authority think when they are in the know. But this is a terrible move. At any point, I could have given the eldest more support or reinforcement to help her get to the answer faster. For instance, I could have asked more leading questions, such as, see these two holes here at the bottom? Tell me why they're different. Here's a hint. One is made from the factory and the other is made in our kitchen. I mean, this would have still been an authority thing to say, but she would have at least known the answer right away. Or I could have been more reinforcing of her responses. Purple. It is purple. That's a good answer for the way I asked that question, but let me ask it differently. Responding to her like this is more like a do-over for both of us. It's also less like an interrogation with the camera turned off. I'm not going to ask you again. What do you see? And don't even think about telling me there's something you see that is the wrong answer. Authority figures do this to their subordinates all the time. It feels powerful to watch someone squirm. I did not feel powerful. I felt stupid for taking such a simple question and creating an awkward moment that embarrassed a kid. Many times we try to build chains this way. Sometimes we develop our chains as if to say to our future self, this is easy, just do it like I'm thinking about it. This is the real move to pull on our future selves. For instance, I might be feeling a little manic and say to myself, today I'm going to do every bit of work I failed to complete during the previous 5 days. After 30 minutes or an hour, if I'm lucky, I burn out. Then I think to myself, I'm never going to get this shit done. Why bother? Then I lie down to take a nap. That will teach you, past self, for making me feel like an idiot. Maybe next time you build in a little more reinforcement or support. This week, I have been much better about my expectations and goal setting. No more Sundays coming down on Lauren because I set myself up poorly. Of course, my terminal goal is to finish this book, but I do not expect that I'm going to write for 12 hours per day. Instead, I'm creating a morning chain that includes an hour of writing. I'm currently on day 5 of a 6-link morning chain. Wake up, audiobook. Feed the dogs, grab a cup of coffee, write this book. Start my day job. I did not create an all-day writing chain. And if I feel a little low on reinforcement at the end of step 5, I'll send a little blurb of the book to a friend. Their feedback is always affirming. And from there, I flow into step 6 with some momentum. I'm setting a future post and building additional reinforcement to ensure my chain reaches its terminal reinforcer, a finished book. There'll be no book chains dragging on the ground in this town. I'm learning to be less of an authority figure to myself and others. I apologized to the eldest. She laughed it off. She said she didn't even notice. I apologized to myself for the lousy setup last Saturday. Unlike the eldest, myself did not even acknowledge my apology. Typical. The daily chain. Like any typical weekday, she woke up early. It was still dark outside, but things needed doing. So she got to moving. Wake up. Transition fluidly to the kitchen. Turn on the coffee. Unload the dishwasher and reload the washer with the dishes piled up in the sink. Then she continued with her coffee and cereal and ate quietly in the still dark moments of the early morning. Initial cue. Coffee machine percolating plus sight of dirty dishes. Chain links. Strangely situated. Turn on coffee, unload the dishwasher, load the dishwasher, drink coffee, eat cereal. Terminal reinforcer. A dry and empty sink. And clean dishes to start the day off right.